This article, also known as Master Xianyu, She's Forced to Love Work Again, and Master Puppy in Her Puppy Downhill Life, after the election for the new generation leader of Mingqi Gate ended, Feng Yanxi, who served as the leader, was recognized by the first wealthy family in Shengjing. According to the standard routine of romance novels, at this time, Feng Yanxi will encounter various malicious female partners to mock him, and the wealthy fiancé A.E. will despise him and then withdraw from the marriage. Even wealthy parents should despise themselves and love their adopted daughters, shouldn't they? Wake up! A new era has arrived. Where are there so many malicious female supporting roles, only endless ghosts to fight? Feng Yanxi. Everyone, I come down the mountain to enjoy life, not to catch ghosts crazily. Small theater. Pei Qinyue. Hello master, may I ask if you want to catch ghosts? Feng Yanxi. Get out of here, I want to fall in love. Pei Qinyue. Just right, do you think I can handle it? The Xianmen master who likes to put on airs but is forced to work with a little venomous tongue versus the wealthy genius who has a romantic brain but is arrogant and haunted by ghosts. Keywords of the novel. Master Xianyu, who came from a wealthy family, went down the mountain to abuse ghosts without a pop-up window. Master Xianyu, who came from a wealthy family, went down the mountain to abuse ghosts. Download the complete text. Master Xianyu, who came from a wealthy family, went down the mountain to abuse ghosts. Read the latest chapter. Chapter 1. Surprisingly, she is a miss from a wealthy family. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 1. Surprisingly, she is a miss from a wealthy family. Today is the happiest day of my life. She has been elected as the head of Mingqi sect. Unlike other mystical sects, Mingqi sect only captures ghosts, does not tell fortune, and even does not cultivate immortals. And the Banquet, which was picked up by a leader a long time ago, has gone through the ups and downs of life at Mingqi Gate. Today, it can finally be officially set up. Collecting apprentices and catching ghosts every day, she's going to become a ghost in this way. Looking at the crowd below, Feng Yanxi felt that the air had never been so fresh before, even the little apprentice who used to dislike him had become clear-eyed. Amidst the laughter and joy, an disharmonious voice suddenly came out. Sorry to interrupt everyone, there's someone down the mountain who wants to find the leader. The sudden voice quieted everyone down and tentatively looked at Feng Yanxi. Just now, with a smile all over her face, the small porcelain doll-like face suddenly sank. Ask clearly what you're here for. If you're looking for help, reject it and say it's inconvenient. Master, they said they were your biological parents coming to pick you up. The person tentatively said this and then looked at Feng Yanxi. The crowd suddenly became lively. Everyone's gaze suddenly turned to Feng Yanxi. As is well known, the Feng sect leader was brought back from outside by a former sect leader who claimed to have picked it up. Seeing fate, the elders accepted it. Feng Zhang does not shy away from this matter, so everyone knows it. But unfortunately, on the day when the head of the sect was elected, his biological parents came, which is a bit too coincidental. At this moment, at the foot of the mountain, two well-maintained men and women anxiously waited in front of a luxury car, waiting for someone to come down. Soon, they saw a slender and beautiful figure descending from the mountain. As the figure approached, Mrs. Feng's tears welled up in her eyes. My daughter. That's my biological daughter. The woman burst into tears, startling the Banquet that had not yet arrived. There's no need to cry like this, she's still alive and well. The man next to him, although not crying like a woman, still had red eyes. You say it's my biological parents. But the person who brought me back told me that I'm an orphan and don't have parents. Feng Yanxi walked up to the two of them, her beautiful eyes showing no warmth. The couple quickly denied, no. We lost you. You're not an orphan, you have parents. Feng Yanxi looked at the two of them, although she denied it verbally, she already had thoughts in her heart as she looked at their extremely similar appearances in front of her. Listening to these two narratives, Feng Yanxi roughly understood the whole thing. The reason is that after the couple gave birth to Feng Yanxi, Mrs. Feng developed severe postpartum depression due to staying at home for a long time. In order to take good care of his wife, Mr. Feng entrusted Feng Yanxi, who had just been born, to the care of two elderly people at home. And this care will last for 2 years. On the day of Feng Yanxi's birthday, which happened to be his second birthday, the two elderly members of the Feng family started preparing early to celebrate their little princess's birthday. Many people have mixed eyes, and the little princess runs and disappears. At first glance, the two elderly people became anxious and quickly sought help. Even the Feng couple became anxious and mobilized all their relatives, but ultimately found nothing. After so many years, I have used all kinds of methods to seal my family, but I still have nothing to gain. In the end, Mr. Feng accidentally ran into a Taoist who was talking about gods and gods. The Taoist said that if he wanted his daughter, he would go to Mingqi Mountain to take a look and ask questions, maybe there would be a surprise. I didn't believe it at first, but after so many years of not being able to find it, I always thought it was good to try my luck when I met Mrs. Hope Feng. So the two of them came to Mingqishan with hope, but they didn't expect the result to be beyond their expectations. Feng Yanxi listened while her fingers were still pinching behind her. After the two of them finished speaking, Feng Yanxi's fingers immediately stopped. I believe everything you say, but I need to go up the mountain first and inquire about the specific situation. Feng Yanxi really wants to go back with the two of them, but as the newly appointed leader himself today, he still has to take on his responsibilities. The two of them wanted to persuade something else, but looking at their daughter's beautiful but emotionless face, they couldn't say anything and could only let her leave. Returning to the mountain, Su Zhaoping looked at his disciple's face and remembered the past events, but ultimately sighed. Some things, no matter how much they are done, cannot escape fate's arrangement. Just like Mingqi Gate never promotes to the outside world, there is also a certain reason. This is also the reason why Mingqi Gate only captures ghosts and does not cultivate immortals. Su Zhaoping agreed to the request to seal the banquet and go down the mountain, but also made a request. No matter what you encounter during the banquet, you must remember to inform your master, remember it, and never forget. When sending the banquet down the mountain, Su Zhaoping reminded Wan and hoped that his precious disciple would have no worries and be safe. Feng Yanxi nodded in agreement and looked up at her few little disciples. Master, then I'll leave these of your disciples to you. After speaking, Feng Yanxi turned around and ran away, not giving Su Zhaoping a chance to react. When Su Zhaoping realized, Feng Yanxi ran away with only his back. Looking at the cheerful back of the girl, Su Zhaoping suppressed the worries in his eyes and returned to the mountain with a few disciples and grandchildren. I hope to return safely from this banquet. Along the way, Mrs. Feng turned her head countless times and dodged countless times. She really wants to sit next to her daughter and talk to her well, taking a good look at her appearance. But looking at Feng Yanxi's somewhat distant expression, she never dared to step forward. She was afraid that what she said would make Yanxi dislike her. She was afraid that Yanxi might not seem resentful, but she actually disliked them in her heart. She was afraid in fact, Feng Yanxi was not as difficult to reach as she imagined, but instead she was a bit eager to talk to Mrs. Feng. I have been reading novels from wealthy families with my senior apprentice for so many years, and now I have no idea that I have become a miss of a wealthy family. It seems that all these years of preparation have not been in vain. The journey passed in an awkward moment between the two of them. But when she saw Feng Mingqi pulling her suitcase and preparing to leave the Feng family mansion, an alarm sounded in her heart. She had thought of encountering a scene of real and fake heirlooms, but she didn't expect it to be so fast. Mrs. Feng remained motionless, observing Feng Yanxi's expression. Because she was also lost in thought. Feng Mingqi looked at Mrs. Feng and the head of the Feng family, her hand preparing to put her luggage paused, and then her movements became faster. She seemed eager to escape from this place. Feng Mingqi's actions stunned Feng Yanxi, who had not yet figured out a solution. This direction doesn't seem quite right. This article is a pure little dessert wrapped in ghost-catching literature. If you like it, remember to add it to your collection and don't miss it. Hand heart gesture, end of this chapter. Chapter 2. 2. She can also be considered a person with a younger sister. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 2. She can also be considered a person with a younger sister. Isn't the fake daughter in the novel the kind who likes to occupy the magpie's nest and then tries every means to drive the real daughter out of the house? Is this fake young lady planning to take a step back and make progress? Then something unexpected happened, and Feng Mingqi's movements were like driving at double speed, quickly putting things away and getting on the car without any dragging or dragging. The head of the Feng family experienced a series of psychological struggles in his heart, but ultimately got off the car and brought Feng Mingqi back. When the whole family was sitting on the sofa, Feng Mingqi couldn't wait to speak up. Uncle and aunt, please let me leave. I will delay the relationship between Yanxi and you here. Feng Mingqi has a thorough understanding of all of this, and she doesn't think that after being the miss of the Feng family for so many years, she can really confront the real miss of the Feng family, Feng Yanxi. On the contrary, the faster she has to leave, the better, which makes her appear somewhat self-aware. Now Feng Yanxi was even more surprised, looking at Feng Mingqi incredulously. All these words spoken by Feng Mingqi come from the heart, not just pretending, indicating that this person's nature is not bad. And Feng Mingqi actually carries some luck, so getting along well shouldn't be harmful to herself. I think it's okay. Mingqi staying here happens to be able to be my younger sister. I haven't experienced the feeling of being a sister yet. Feng Mingqi couldn't believe her ears. Her eyes, which looked at Feng Yanxi, were filled with surprise and disbelief. But looking at Feng Yanxi's slightly smiling face, Feng Mingqi felt as if she was not dreaming. What Feng Yanxi said was true. But Yanxi, my existence was meant to fill the gap in Auntie's heart when you were not around, but now that you have returned to Auntie's side, it would be a bit difficult for me to stay. Feng Mingqi felt it was not good and still refused. But it doesn't seem good to me to drive you away as soon as I come back, do you think so? Feng Yanxi smiled and looked at Feng Mingqi, his words stunned everyone sitting there. To be honest, when Feng Yanxi mentioned this, they were also taken aback. It's not that they didn't expect it, just from their perspective. If they say these things, will it make Feng Yanxi feel selfish? They also won't say anything to make Feng Yanxi associate this, because these are all unfair to Feng Yanxi. But Feng Yanxi thought of this so quickly, which made them feel even more uncomfortable. How do their poor children know so much? What kind of things does she have to go through to understand so much? If I can hear their psychological activities, I will roll my eyes and roast. What's not enough to meet such a reasonable and beautiful sister? When Mingqiman was born, she was always the youngest, and even some of her disciples were slightly older than her. Now, with the appearance of Feng Mingqi, Feng Yanxi, who is loved as a little brat everywhere, is so happy. It seems that what is said in the novel is not true, at least according to the current situation, she should not be the female lead. Feng Mingqi was forced to stay by 3 people. That evening, upon hearing the news that the Feng family had found their long-lost precious little princess, the rest of the Feng family became embroiled in controversy. The old man and old lady, who had been feeling guilty for many years, rushed over immediately. Due to her own negligence, she lost the banquet. In recent years, the old lady has always blamed herself and her health has become somewhat poor as she shuttles back and forth. Her wish has always been to find a banquet in front of her closed eyes, which has not been fulfilled for so many years. Until today, she has finally realized her wish. Seeing the beautiful little face that appeared in front of her, magnified in proportion to her childhood, Mrs. Feng couldn't help but burst into tears. She tentatively called out in a trembling voice, "Banquet." At that moment, I didn't feel much about the banquet and suddenly felt a sensation that had never been felt before flowing through my body. It seemed like an instinct deeply buried in her soul, controlling her to say, "Grandma, I'm here." Madame Feng has been waiting for this sound for a whole 13 years, a whole 13 years. People seem to be strange creatures, with only one important thing lost. If they can't find it all the time, no matter how similar or identical it may be in their future lives, they will feel like something is not right, it's not what it used to be. The puppy I raised when I was a child is lost. Even if there is an identical puppy later, I always feel sorry and guilty that it is not the same. Mrs. Feng feels so lucky that she can still see her precious feast in her lifetime. Even if she closes her eyes now, she has no regrets. Feeling the warmth in the old lady's arms, Feng Yanxi suddenly remembered when she was very young, as if the old lady also hugged her like this. But even though it was all herself, why didn't she remember anything before coming back? However, the old lady's actions made Feng Yanxi forget to think about this matter. It's not because of anything else, it's because Mrs. Feng took out a super big red envelope. Yes, Feng Xiaotsai's favorite big red envelope. After the excitement, Feng Yanxi comforted herself not to be so excited. She is currently under lockdown, and this kind of thing is likely to happen frequently in the future. Yes, this happens frequently. Well, the old man immediately took out a big red envelope and smiled as he handed it to Feng Yanxi. Then came the second uncle and third aunt of the Feng family who arrived one after another, as well as the late arrival of the young uncle and aunt of the Feng family. Almost every person who comes, Feng Yanxi will have an extra red envelope in her hand, and the smile on her face will deepen with the thickness of the red envelope. But she didn't forget Feng Mingqi, who was still in the garden. After all, from today on, that was her twin sister Feng Yanxi. I don't know if others will believe it, but Feng Yanxi thinks this idea is very good. They claimed to the public that the head of the Feng family accidentally discovered that Mrs. Feng had given birth to twins, and then looked around to find out that their twin daughter was the child they had adopted back then. Not only that, they also promoted the news of finding the little princess. Anyway, they just think it's okay, there's no need to ask her, and they always call her little princess. No need, really no need. Feng Yanxi took out her small treasury, pulled it up, and gave Feng Mingqi a red envelope. She saw that her senior apprentice had always treated her junior brothers and sisters in this way before, and her younger sister must be closer than her junior brothers and sisters. It's better to have a bigger bag. Thinking of this, Feng Yanxi casually put in several useless cards. They were all given by the employer when I took on the task before, so they shouldn't be of much use. Taking a glance at the thickness, Feng Yanxi was satisfied and went to the garden with a red envelope to find Feng Mingqi. "Mom, are you sure that the little princess of the Feng family was brought back from Mingqi Mountain?" A clear and pleasant voice came from the stairs, which startled everyone downstairs. Hope for more support. Recommended tickets and favorites. I hope everyone can support this cute little book more. End of this chapter. Chapter 3. Child Prodigies and Neurological Disorders. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 3. Child Prodigies and Neurological Disorders. Seeing the sudden appearance of the young man, everyone was taken aback. Especially Pei's mother, seeing Pei Xianyu appear on her face, couldn't hide her concern. Pei Xianyu, as is well known, is the youngest son of the Pei family. When he was young, he was known as a prodigy due to his exceptional talent. However, Pei Xianyu's life after the age of 5 seems to have been paused. The prodigy of the past has become a mental illness that everyone avoids, and everyone thinks that this should be hurting Zhongyong. It's too late to be good. The Pei family doesn't want to give up, thinking that they should have been stimulated. But even though Pei Xianyu is now 16 years old, he still looks like this. Not willing to go out and constantly shouting about ghosts at home. The guests who were frightened by Pei Xianyu dared not stay much and quickly left. Looking at Pei Xianyu with a serious face, Pei's mother couldn't help but feel heartbroken. Yes, but that has nothing to do with you. The young lady of the Feng family is so well protected, how could she possibly help you, Xianyu? If it was possible before, but it's really impossible now. But Pei Qingyue shook his head and denied Pei's mother's words in his heart. How could he have known all this if he hadn't searched for so many years? There is a sect on Mingqi Mountain that only catches ghosts and does not cultivate immortals. As long as they have money, they can catch any ghosts. It's just that few people bother to inquire. The next day, Pei Qingyue quietly climbed over the wall and sneaked out while his family went to attend the return banquet held by the Feng family. Then, without realizing it, he stumbled into the backyard of the sealed house. So much so that when Feng Yanxi saw it, she almost thought someone had grown in the grass. However, after careful examination, Feng Yanxi discovered something extraordinary. Being discovered was already embarrassing enough, but the girl kept staring at her, scaring Pei Qingyue into thinking she had met someone with ulterior motives. Strange, she had seen the soul-attracting physique before, but it was the first time she had ever seen someone specifically attracted to that kind of evil. Seeing Feng Yanxi staring at him without blinking, Pei Qingyue felt inexplicably a bit scared. This is the first time in all these years that he feels scared when facing others. Are you also here to attend the banquet? Why don't you go to the front hall? Feng Yanxi asked. With such security measures as sealing the house, it's difficult for even a fly to come in, let alone a person. She doesn't even think that Pei Qingyue came in from elsewhere. Pei Qingyue saw Feng Yanxi's innocent face and thought it was just a young lady from some infrequent family. Just as she was about to speak, she heard Feng Mingxi's voice coming from not far away. At the moment when Feng Mingqi and Pei Qingyue met, the little girl was so scared that her heart stopped beating. She quickly pulled Feng Yanxi back. Pei Qingyue didn't know Feng Yanxi, but he knew Feng Mingqi. Combined with previous rumors, something suddenly came to his mind, and his eyes lit up with excitement. And next to her, Feng Yanxi, after listening to Feng Mingxi's simple explanation, unconsciously took a step forward and carefully examined. Did you come back from Mingqi Mountain? Pei Qingyue cautiously probed. Feng Yanxi nodded without even thinking, not knowing what Pei Qingyue meant by these words. Since that's the case, you must know someone from Mingqi Gate. At this point, Pei Qingyue's eyes became more eager. Feng Yanxi, no matter how slow he was, could still hear what Pei Qingyue meant. But she came down the mountain for leisure and retirement, so she didn't want to work for the time being, so she continued to shake her head with a face full of ignorance. Feng Mingqi didn't know what Pei Qingyue meant, but she knew it was time to protect Feng Yanxi's personal safety, so she gently tugged at Feng Yanxi's sleeve on the side. Until it was far away from the place where Pei Qingyue was staying, Feng Mingqi quietly explained to Feng Yanxi, "Sister, if you don't want to get dirty, you must not talk to young Master Pei again. Be careful not to have unclean things come knocking on your door." When she said these words, Feng Mingqi even turned her head to look behind her, making sure there was no one behind her to pull Feng Yanxi away quickly. Thinking of what she saw, Feng Yanxi understood Feng Mingxi's words very well. Although she is not afraid, she really doesn't want to meddle now, so it's best not to touch her. The banquet ended with laughter and cheers, quiet and joyful throughout, without any of the plot from the novel. Looking at the small mountain of gifts piled up in front of him, Feng Yanxi's eyes burst into a smile, indicating how happy this little miser was. But as the old saying goes, joy brings sorrow. Soon, tragic news came. "Mom, can I not go?" Feng Yanxi looked at Mrs. Feng in embarrassment, wanting to try to play coquettish in exchange for not going to school. Mrs. Feng smiled and said, "No way, you and your sister are in the same class. If you don't go, your sister will be sad." As he spoke, he looked at Feng Mingqi, who immediately cooperated and made a sad expression. Feng Yanxi really wants to tell Mrs. Feng that she has learned almost everything about high school, so there is no need to revive her sophomore year. But this statement probably didn't have much persuasiveness. As soon as Feng Yanxi thought about going to school again, the urge to open the gift instantly disappeared. The next day when I went to school, Feng Yanxi was feeling dejected and a bit overwhelmed. By the way, may I ask who can keep up their spirits when going to school? Because on Feng Yanxi's first day at school, Mrs. Feng felt a bit uneasy, so she specially followed Feng Yanxi to the teacher's office. The homeroom teacher is a middle-aged woman who looks very kind. When she saw Mrs. Feng bringing in a young girl with an unfamiliar eye, she immediately thought of the recent rumor. Because Mrs. Feng still had some things to say to the homeroom teacher, Feng Yanxi left the office very consciously. She didn't dare to stay too far away, just stood at the door in a daze. Then my thoughts unconsciously recalled Pei Qinyue whom I saw last night. Last night, she actually felt something was wrong, but at that time Pei Qinyue's condition was already very serious, and she didn't think about that. But upon careful consideration, how could a person really keep seeing evil spirits, and Pei Qinyue also thought that not only could they see evil spirits, but other situations were not very good. Although she had thought about it in her heart, Feng Yanxi had no intention of helping. She only had a one-sided relationship with the other party, without any cause or effect. Moreover, his condition was severe and could not be resolved in a day or two. Since she came back to rest, it must be said that not touching these things means not touching them. Feng Yanxi shook her head and quickly put aside the matter of Pei Qinyue, continuing to wait for Mrs. Feng. Sorry, classmate. May I ask, is Teacher Ji in this office? A timid girl's voice rang in her ear, and Feng Yanxi looked over. A simple and youthful little girl who was not very outstanding in appearance looked timidly at Feng Yanxi standing by the door, her eyes mixed with inexplicable fear. End of this chapter. Chapter 4. Strange Girl. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 4. Strange Girl. The G teacher in the girl's mouth is the new homeroom teacher who is Feng Yanxi. At this moment, Teacher Ji and Mrs. Feng came out of the office chatting and laughing. Seeing the girl, Teacher Ji's gaze softened for a moment. Coincidentally, Mrs. Feng and another transfer student, Shengjing, have also arrived. So I won't disturb you. I'll take my two children back to class. Teacher Ji waved to Feng Yanxi and Shengjing, who was still stunned, gesturing for the two of them to follow. While walking on the road, Feng Yanxi gave Shengjing a very secretive glance, inexplicably feeling that this girl was a bit strange. Let's say she's scared. The expression on her face didn't show, but instead she looked very happy. But don't be afraid, Feng Yanxi was sure that she saw the fearful look in Shengjing's eyes when she looked at her. It really couldn't be fake. Good contradiction. Feng Yanxi didn't want to use her brain, so she shook her head and continued walking. Just in the moment when she couldn't see, Shengjing breathed a clear sigh of relief. As the homeroom teacher brought a new student and a transfer student into the classroom, almost everyone in class 6 focused their attention on the two of them. Especially the new student, who is good-looking and has a lot of temperament, is said to be Feng Mingqi's twin sister, which has made some boys in the class start to be restless. Feng Yanxi's self-introduction was very short, and Teacher Ji didn't intend to force it. He waved his hand and asked her to sit next to Feng Mingqi. Then there was Shengjing, who was different from Feng Yanxi who had just greeted her. At this moment, Shengjing seemed very confident and smiled as she introduced herself. But then came a huge silence, with no one speaking, and even some boys whispering behind them, mixed with some laughter. As the class monitor, Feng Mingqi naturally couldn't watch the situation continue to be so awkward, so she took the lead in applauding. Shengjing's smile stiffened, and Feng Yanxi even saw her legs trembling. Feng Yanxi also applauded and deliberately put on the kind of smile she thought was the best looking. Although it's a bit stiff. But seeing the class monitor and new classmates applauding one after another, the female classmates below couldn't bear Shenjia's embarrassment and applauded one after another. But among these applauding people, there are very few boys. Feng Yanxi couldn't figure it out and didn't care about it for the time being. When a class finally came to an end, the homeroom teacher walked out of the classroom and a boy began to struggle to speak. Shengjing, I heard from class 2 that you're not suffering from depression. Is that thing contagious? If it's contagious, don't spread it to anyone else, go home quickly. The boy laughed foolishly, but his words penetrated Shengjing's heart. The girl behind Feng Mingqi heard what the boy was saying, which was clearly mindless. She rolled her eyes and retorted, are you having an underdeveloped brain or a completely underdeveloped cerebellum? Do you think saying this kind of thing would make others find it interesting? I can't speak and no one is forcing you. Think about yourself just now and see if you look like a fool. The girl's tone was gentle, but her sentences were sharp, accompanied by a mocking tone, which instantly made the proud face of the boy who had just spoken blush with anger. He Bebe, are you having a problem? Did he mention you? Didn't Shengjing transfer to our class because of depression? Who in the normal population has depression, then it means she's having a problem. The man was angry and blushed, opening his mouth and arguing non-stop. That is neither reasonable nor harsh. He Bebe still wanted to scold, but Feng Mingqi scolded the boy earlier. If anyone feels embarrassed about depression, then leave class 6. Since they don't have a brain, don't stay in class 6. The boy became even angrier when he heard the class monitor Feng speak up, and turned to look for help. As Feng Yanxi, who was said to be Feng Mingqi's twin sister, kept silent, she suddenly felt that an opportunity had come. That. Feng Yanxi classmate, can you say that I'm right or not? Where would anyone get depression casually? That terminal illness is still the kind of illness that people get, and depression must be the same. The boy spoke confidently, as if I was the most reasonable, and no one could refute me. Upon hearing the boy mention himself, Feng Yanxi looked up and down at the boy in confusion, and then comforted Feng Mingqi, who was worried. She calmly spoke, are you asking me? I think you should also be sick. When Feng Yanxi said this, she smiled. If she hadn't heard this, everyone would have thought that Feng Yanxi was going to say something supportive. You're sick, what are you scolding me for? The boy thought that Feng Yanxi would fight with him, but he didn't expect to be scolded by the other party even after some operation. Feng Yanxi reached out his hand and gently pressed it down, gesturing for him to shut up. Listen to me, don't worry, you are indeed sick. You are still a bit sick, don't you know? Intellectual disability is also a disease that can be contagious. Otherwise, it can be as mild as losing one's mind, and as severe as losing a person. It should be taken seriously. Feng Yanxi, who said these words, was not at all uncomfortable, but rather spoke as if it were true. As the words fell, the girl at the boy's desk glanced at him and silently distanced herself from him. The sight of the front and back tables also moved away from the boy, as if not moving away from the next second could turn into a mental disability and lose their brain. Feng Mingqi covered her mouth and tried not to laugh out loud, then secretly gave Feng Yanxi a thumbs up. He Bebe was also full of awe towards his tilted front table. Sure enough, there are some things that have a different effect when said with a smile. Look at that guy's embarrassed appearance, and if there's any more of the aggressive way he just spoke, he's as angry as a quail. She didn't cover her mouth and burst out laughing, making the boy glare at her angrily. And Feng Yanxi quietly glanced at Shengjing in the last row, who lowered her head and didn't know what she was doing, as if she had nothing to do with everything just now. But she didn't feel that Shengjing hadn't heard it. After a while, the scene of Shengjing secretly reaching out for a pack of tissues was caught in Feng Yanxi's eyes. Then, as class was approaching, Feng Yanxi saw Shengjing carefully lifting her head, her red eyes already betraying everything. Seeing Feng Yanxi looking over, Shengjing pretended to know nothing and grinned, causing Feng Yanxi to unconsciously make a question mark in her heart. If the fear she showed when I met her for the first time today can be explained as her social anxiety, then what explanation should be used for everything that just happened and the depression mentioned by the boy? Watching Feng Yanxi keep turning her head to look at the back row, Feng Mingqi, who knows everything like her hands, quietly tugged at her sister's sleeve, gesturing for her to look at the table. Feng Yanxi turned around and saw He Bei blinking at him, pointing to his desk. It was a piece of paper, densely packed with something written on it. It suddenly snows heavily, and without heating, I feel like I might freeze to death. End of this chapter. Chapter 5. That's campus bullying. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 5. That's campus bullying. To be precise, this note records some relevant information about why Shengjing transferred to Class 6 and what He Bei had previously inquired about. Shengjing used to be in the first and second classes of high school with that boy, but later split into humanities and sciences, and both studied science. Then the boys were assigned to Class 6, while Shengjing remained in Class 2. In the first semester of the first year of high school, there were rumors about Shengjing in the grade, but most of them were just rumors that mocked her for being vulgar or that her family did not want her. After the division of classes next semester, there will be more and more rumors about Shengjing in Class 2. There is a story about Shengjing seducing male classmates, and some even say that Shengjing's parents did not want her because they were arrested. It is also true that their parents were born from human traffickers. Afterwards, what He Bei saw with his own eyes seemed to have isolated Shengjing from all the new second-class members since the division. Some boys in the class even openly spread rumors about Shengjing, and some even spread rumors about his parents. Shengjing has also resisted, but only attracted the other party's increasing isolation, beating, insults, and even threw Shengjing's backpack into the trash can once, and then led many classmates to force Shengjing to pick it up on her own, and so on. Even the fact that she couldn't bear to watch anything outside of her class, I didn't know what kind of strange person the homeroom teacher in Class 2 was, and she never cared about it. He Bei forcefully wrote a sentence on the back of the note. That's a confirmed campus bully, she actually doesn't care. Feng Mingqi watched the whole journey with Feng Yanxi, and the already soft little girl's eyes turned red with anger, constantly panting. Feng Yanxi had no expression on her face and looked at her quietly, as if these could not stir any waves in her heart. Feng Mingqi looked over and only saw her sigh, but still calm to a terrifying level. During lunch, Feng Mingqi couldn't help but ask her sister, "Sister, aren't you angry when you see those things? That's too much, it's trampling on someone else's self-esteem. It's simply not human." Feng Yanxi stood in front of her, waiting in line for a meal. When she heard the question, she smiled lightly and said, "In your opinion, why do those people bully Shengjing?" Of course, it's because she's feeling upset and trying to relieve her stress by imposing her own pain on others. Feng Mingqi felt angry at the thought of these things, but when she really talked about it, she felt a bit confused again. She really doesn't know what these people think. But ultimately, it's just some bad ideas, that's it. Feng Yanxi snorted and shook his head. If that's all, it wouldn't drive people out of depression. Feng Mingqi frowned. It was really difficult for her to come up with this matter. Of course, Feng Yanxi did not intend to really make Feng Mingqi think of it. Before discovering the truth, one needs to be patient and observe. After finishing the meal, Feng Yanxi found a place not far or close to Shengjing and sat down, silently observing the situation near Shengjing while eating. Just sat down for a while when someone came from Shengjing's side. The other party also brought several girls, looking very disgusted with Shengjing's appearance. "Yo, isn't this our Miss Depression? How can we transfer to a new class without anyone playing with you? Oh. I remember, even Class 6 is not a fool. It would be great if they could accept you, and they still hope to make friends. Our Miss Depression is so delicate, we can't even say that. What should we do if we don't say a few words about our illness?" The girl's exaggerated speech made several girls behind her burst into laughter. When people around saw this scene, they all silently lowered their heads to eat and did not intend to interfere. Feng Mingqi had never seen these before. When she saw Shengjing being bullied, her sense of responsibility as the class monitor made her have to step forward. Feng Yanxi gestured with her eyes to Feng Mingqi to sit down and not move for now. Feng Mingqi was very angry and wanted to help. She didn't understand why Feng Yanxi didn't help. If there are so many people on the other side and you are sure you can fight, just go ahead. If you don't want to get involved now and make the situation worse, then sit down, don't worry, and eat with your head down like others. Although Feng Mingqi was very angry, the look in Feng Yanxi's eyes did not seem to scare her. She pouted and ate honestly. Shengjing lowered her head and remained silent, eating quietly with chopsticks as if she had been deaf. The girl didn't receive the result she wanted. With a squint in her eyes, she lifted Shengjing's plate and said, "What are you doing?" "Talking to you, don't think you can hide by pretending to be a grandson. I haven't finished accounting for you before. I didn't seduce your boyfriend, he reached out and touched me while doing exercises." Shengjing explained softly, but she couldn't help but cry even after explaining a sentence. Why should she bear all this, even though she didn't do anything wrong? The girl became even angrier upon hearing Shengjing's explanation, and then raised her hand and slapped her again, saying, "Nonsense. My mother's boyfriend can appreciate someone like you. He looks like a pig and wants to slander others. I see if you haven't been beaten enough." Shengjing's face tilted to one side after being slapped, and only she probably knew the weight of the slap. Before the girl could continue to lose her temper, the quiet cafeteria suddenly heard a loud bang. Feng Mingqi was startled by her sister's movements and stared blankly at the plate thrown onto the ground, saying, "Sister." The girl was about to go over and question, but when she saw Feng Mingqi sitting across from her, she immediately guessed the identity of the person in front of her, and was greatly surprised. The young lady from class 6, Feng Mingqi, had a twin sister who had just transferred over. It is estimated that the reason why the young lady was able to leave the cafeteria today is also because her sister has just arrived. Finished arguing. Can I have a few words with you? Feng Yanxi smiled and opened her mouth, her whole body exuding a warm aura, completely disconnected from the one who just shook the plate. You say. No matter how arrogant the girl is, she understands that there are some people she can't afford to provoke. Do you know there's a camera right across from you when you hit someone? Feng Yanxi smiled, thinking she was going to say something nice to the girl. The girl changed her face as soon as she heard it, and looked stiffly at a nearby camera. Sure enough, there was a camera that was neither big nor small, right in front of her. Coincidentally, the camera was still flickering and working. But she immediately sneered, so what? The school doesn't care at all. Besides, this matter itself is Shengjing's fault. I'm just teaching this shameless thing a lesson. The girl spoke confidently and casually, as if I was not afraid. Cooling down, people are going to be foolish. A new day, a new chapter, still seeking collectibles and recommended tickets, end of this chapter. Chapter 6. Suddenly Falling Lights. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 6. Suddenly falling lights. Everyone is watching. This is not the first time this has happened, but it is the first time someone has stepped forward to speak up for the victim. And this opposing person is also very interesting, the two young ladies of the Feng family and the niece of the school leader. This scene is really impressive. That's good, since you're not afraid, I'll grill it and show it to the police. I think they should really enjoy reading these contents. Feng Yanxi's smile grew even stronger, with a look that you could do immediately if you promised me. The girl's face changed when she heard the police officer, her eyes fixed tightly on Feng Yanxi, as if she wanted to see a big hole in her body. What is Miss Feng planning to do? Beat me up too? The girl stared at Shengjing aggressively, as if threatening her. Shengjing lowered her head, covering her face and shedding tears. That's not so bad, I'm not that violent. Feng Yanxi spread out her hand and said, it's not a big deal. Just let Shengjing do it again. Upon hearing Feng Yanxi shout out his name, Shengjing trembled unconsciously and looked at Feng Yanxi in terror, her hand unconsciously refusing. The girl is also unbelievable, and the muscles on her face involuntarily tremble. Shengjing, if you choose to refuse, it's okay, but we really can't help you with these things in the future. Only when you make your own choices can we have the ability to pull you out of the mud pit. Feng Yanxi put away her smile and looked at Shengjing with a faint gaze. The meaningless gaze fell into Shengjing's eyes, but it was a different feeling. Feng Mingqi unconsciously clenched her fist, hoping for Shengjing's choice. However, Shengjing is not a soft guy either, after all, he has resisted before. Now that there is an opportunity, it is natural to slap it hard. That slap was just a relief from the little bit of anger that Shengjing had been suffering for so long. But just like that, she also felt much more comfortable in her heart. The girl was beaten, and even though she was reluctant in her heart, in order to prevent Banquet from really taking these to the police station, she could only endure it. Alright, now that it's resolved, our matter has come to an end for now. Feng Yanxi clapped her hands, picked up the plate, and left the cafeteria with Feng Mingqi and Shengjing. Because it involves two influential figures, everyone tacitly hides the matter in their hearts and only talks privately, so there is currently no teacher to know. After taking a nap in the afternoon, Feng Yanxi propped up her head and felt drowsy. She passed 2 classes in a daze. Until the end of the break, when the 3rd class was about to begin, Feng Yanxi's mental state improved slightly and she sat up straight, ready to listen to the class. In a daze, she suddenly noticed that the chandelier on the English teacher's head was flickering, as if it was about to fall off. Feng Yanxi frowned inexplicably and blinked his eyes to take a closer look. Upon closer inspection, Feng Yanxi was stunned and immediately raised his hand to shout, "Teacher, could you please allow me a moment? I can't see the blackboard clearly." The hanging hand kept changing its gestures, and a yellow paper talisman came out of nowhere, quickly flying towards the chandelier as the gesture changed. The English teacher glanced at the Banquet and nodded to make way for her seat. The next second, the chandelier fell with a sound. The students in the front row were frightened and exclaimed, and a male classmate quickly rushed over and pulled away the English teacher. The chandelier fell onto the podium, with one end inserted straight into it, as the inertia seemed to be still trembling slightly. And the Banquet that had shouted to the English teacher to let go a second ago was now staring intently at the ceiling, with a deep darkness in her eyes. After such a big incident, it is obvious that the class cannot be attended. As the homeroom teacher, Teacher Ji quickly instructed the students to go home and those who returned to the dormitory to return to the dormitory. Feng Mingqi was so scared that she still had lingering palpitations. "Sister, if you hadn't shouted to the English teacher to move away, then you really wouldn't have dared to think about it. But it's really strange. That chandelier has just been replaced, and there are still several in the class that haven't been replaced, so it's easier for it to fall off." Hebebe, who was walking beside the 2 people, shuddered and said, "Don't say it anymore. The more you say it, the more I feel like it's haunted." Feng Mingqi waved her hand and said, "It's impossible. There's no such thing as ghosts in the world. Don't talk nonsense." Feng Mingqi is a staunch atheist who doesn't even believe that there are ghosts in this world, and thinks that Hebebe is just talking nonsense. "I think either the person who repaired the chandelier cut corners and didn't do it well, made a mistake," Feng Mingqi firmly believed. Among the 3 people, only Feng Yanxi remained looking towards the direction of the classroom. "Mingqi, you go home first. I'll call my mom and go back later. I'll go find the teacher and ask some questions." Feng Yanxi patted her sister's head, then turned around and ran. The matter should not be delayed, she felt that the sooner it was resolved, the better. Because the chandeliers fell off so strangely, and the entire school's chandeliers had been refurbished before, the school waved its hand and urged all the students to leave quickly, fearing that something might happen again. Feng Yanxi looked at the dense crowd downstairs and then at the flower pot upstairs, his face darkened. If she only does it once, she will only treat her as momentarily confused, but if she wants to repeat her old tricks in the presence of so many people, she must stop it. The old technique of sealing the banquet was repeated, but this time it was another talisman paper. A scream sounded, and Feng Yanxi didn't wait for a moment before quickly running towards the place where the sound came from. As she walked all the way to the rooftop, Feng Yanxi realized that the door was locked. It was not advisable to ask the homeroom teacher for the key. She could only use a spell again, and the door lock fell in response. In an invisible place, there is a huge red cage, inside which the hideous and eerie-looking ghost is screaming and pounding wildly. Leaving the right path and insisting on hurting others, why are both ghosts like this now? Do you think this cage is fun and insist on giving it a try? Feng Yanxi stood in front of the cage with an extremely displeased expression, her voice irritable. They all said they didn't want to catch the ghost, but the ghost came right in front of them, which meant she had to work. Upon hearing the sound of Feng Yanxi, the still crazily wriggling ghost stopped and its ferocious eyes stared straight at Feng Yanxi, spitting out 2 words coldly. Heavenly Master. Not really, I don't cultivate immortals, I only catch ghosts. If you can meet me, you can only be considered unlucky. Feng Yanxi casually found a place, patted the soil, and sat down. Obviously, what Feng Yanxi said exceeded the range of this ghost's tolerance, and his fierce gaze became confused. Feng Yanxi rolled his eyes and said, "You don't understand even if you say it, but you should tell me why you hurt someone. If you don't want to say it, it's okay. I'll find a ghost to take you down. The crime of hurting someone after death is not light, and whether you can reincarnate is always a question." "I won't reincarnate. I want revenge." The ghost shouted out loud, startling Feng Yanxi. "My stomach hurts, God knows how I managed to endure the whole day, End of this chapter. Chapter 7. 3 Lights of Man. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 7. 3 Lights of Man, keep your voice down. If you shout again, be careful, I'll shut your mouth. Feng Yanxi squinted her eyes irritably, and a flick of her finger made the female ghost quiet down. Feng Yanxi scratched her ear and felt restless, saying, "The ghosts who can stay in the mortal world have grudges and grievances. If everyone is resolved, then the order in the mortal world will be over." Looking at the female ghost still full of resentment, Feng Yanxi took a deep breath with some annoyance and said, "So, you can follow me today. When I find a suitable day, I'll help you find a ghost to ask. Is that okay?" Upon hearing that there was a solution, the female ghost obediently nodded and went to stay inside the hairpin in Feng Yanxi's hand. The matter was temporarily resolved, and Feng Yanxi finally breathed a sigh of relief and prepared to leave. As soon as he turned around, he saw a familiar face. "Miss Feng, long time no see." Pei Qinyue greeted Feng Yanxi with a displeased expression. Feng Yanxi rolled her eyes in her heart and cursed, "It's been a long time since we first met yesterday. How long can this last? It's so annoying." However, considering that this guy's face was not very good, Feng Yanxi reluctantly nodded to Pei Qinyue as a greeting. "Miss Feng, what don't you want to say about yesterday's incident?" "What can I say?" Feng Yanxi had already been delayed for a long time because of the female ghost. Now, she just wanted to leave quickly, so her tone was very irritable and not good. Looking at Pei Qinyue, her eyes also became sharp. "Unfortunately, I have seen everything just now. Miss Feng, don't you want to explain it?" Pei Qinyue's tone remained calm, forming a sharp contrast with Feng Yanxi's attitude. Feng Yanxi knew this guy would say this, and he had already prepared his words. You see it. I don't want to explain, and besides, I can't solve your problem. You go find someone else, I have to go." "So, Miss Feng admits to being someone from Mingqi Gate." Pei Qinyue's eyes became sharp in vain, and she looked at Feng Yanxi speechless. Feng Yanxi was speechless and said, "Nowadays, people are not allowed to have any culinary skills. Those who know how to order must be called Mingqi men. I don't know what Mingqi men are. What's the point of telling me these things? Besides, your problem is not something that I can solve just by saying I need to solve it. It's useless for you to keep blocking me like this. Looking at Feng Yanxi's expression, Pei Qinyue felt that she had really misunderstood, so she made way and apologized. But he still didn't give up. If possible, could Miss Feng tell me about my situation? After a pause in his footsteps, Feng Yan raised his eyebrows and said, "Are you sure?" Pei Qinyue nodded firmly. Feng Yanxi looked at the sky and then at the nearby situation, sighed and said, "Since that's the case, let's make it clear here." As she spoke, Feng Yanxi took out something like a small mirror from her bag and said, "Just take a look and you'll know." Pei Qinyue looked at the small mirror and took it over in confusion. There are 3 lamps on the human body, 1 on the head and 1 on each shoulder. In many folk stories, if encountering ghosts on the night road, one is usually patted on the left shoulder, and if one turns back, the light on the left shoulder will go out. In fact, the lamp on the left shoulder stores a person's yang energy, while the lamp on the right shoulder manages yin energy. Most people lose yang energy, and I say you are special because the lamps on both shoulders are gone. Sure enough, in the mirror, there was only 1 lamp on my head, and my shoulders were empty. It's not uncommon for someone to turn off the lights and you to lose them, so whether you can see ghosts or be evil is not uncommon. Can you still find that lamp? Pei Qinyue nervously returned the mirror to Feng Yan. But before he could finish speaking, Feng Yanxi took back the mirror without saying a word and rolled his eyes, saying, "If we can find them all, then we'll throw them all away. Not to mention how long your lamp has been lost, it's one thing whether you can put it back after finding it. You can stand here well now, but it's all supported by the lamp on your head. If you continue to work, no one can guarantee that your lamp will continue to light up." After finishing the banquet, without looking back, he left, leaving Pei Qinyue standing alone on the rooftop with an unhappy face. When Feng Yanxi arrived home, Mrs. Feng had been waiting at the door for almost 20 minutes. Seeing her precious daughter return, she breathed a sigh of relief. She is really afraid that Feng Yanxi will get lost again. If she loses it again this time, she really can't accept it. At the dining table, Mrs. Feng hesitated and wanted to ask about Feng Yanxi's situation at school. Before she could speak, she was signaled back by the head of the Feng family. If they don't ask, it will appear very uninteresting. It would be better if they don't ask. When everyone fell asleep, Feng Yanxi stood up again to confirm Feng Mingxi's situation, and then quietly slipped out of the room to the small garden behind the house. The surroundings had already quieted down, and after thinking for a moment, Feng Yanxi used a trick to shield her surroundings. Then the female ghost was released. The female ghost who had calmed down at this moment actually looked very pretty, at least her face was not so fierce, and it was still acceptable. Feng Yanxi threw out a piece of talisman paper and pinched his fingertips to drip blood onto it. In an instant, the dark light dissipated, and a bloody smell filled the entire barrier, making even the female ghost feel uncomfortable. The golden formation appeared somewhat oppressive in the dim light, and after a while, a circular object appeared in the center of the formation, from which a strange-looking person emerged. "Feng Tianshi, long time no see." The thing spoke with a deep voice that made the female ghost's ears tingle. On the other hand, it was the only person in the middle of the banquet, and the very calm thing nodded. Her white nightgown, paired with the surrounding environment, made her graceful like a holy angel descending from the sky. "Let's take a look. On the first day of school today, I used 3 talismans. If it's just that I don't want to leave, I'll have to settle accounts with her." Feng Yanxi hugged her arms with a very impatient expression on her face. That ghost is also quite helpless. In the past, according to his level, the heavenly master called him out because there was a big ghost born, and other ghosts couldn't take him away. But today is different. He sees this ghost as just an unlucky ghost who has unresolved grievances and wants to retaliate against others, but is directly stopped by the heavenly master. There is neither cause and effect nor guilt on oneself. Feng Yanxi called him, probably purely out of annoyance. He's also annoyed, but he's afraid of being beaten, so let's just stay honest. Please, Lord Ghost, I really don't want to leave. The person who bullied me hasn't died yet, and I don't want to just leave like this. The female ghost knelt down, tears and blood streaming down her face. Gui Cha glanced at Feng Yanxi standing next to him with his hand down and his mouth deflated. Don't beg me, I'm responsible for taking you. If you ask, please ask Feng Yanxi. The female ghost immediately changed direction and kowtowed to Feng Yanxi. The weather is really nice today. I don't know what everyone has prepared for the Chinese New Year. Anyway, I have prepared a lot of delicious food. Hee hee. End of this chapter. Chapter 8. Sealing Banquet for Magic Tool Manufacturers. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 8. Sealing Banquet for Magic Tool Manufacturers. Feng Yanxi glanced at Gui almost, his disdainful gaze almost flying to the sky. Immediately after, a dark light flashed through, and Gui Cha touched his mouth, instantly feeling discouraged. Sure enough, you can't say too much, it's bothering Master Feng. You don't have to kneel down to me, just explain why you did this today. Feng Yanxi gently raised her hand, and the female ghost felt relieved all over. Surprisingly, she was lifted up by a sudden airflow. The female ghost gratefully glanced at Feng Yanxi and wiped away the blood and tears from the corners of her eyes, saying, I used to be a student at Shengjing No. 1 Middle School, and my name is Yan Beishi. And your English teacher is the daughter of my former homeroom teacher, and it was because of her that I died. I don't know why the homeroom teacher has always been very targeted towards me. I study very hard and my grades have always been good. Even the school asked me to represent the school in a physics competition. But Teacher Zhong has always been like that to me, even knowing that I am going to participate in a physics competition and using inferior means to replace my spot. I didn't know why before. It wasn't until I heard that the person who was ranked behind me at the time and almost represented the school in the competition was Teacher Zhong's youngest son, that I realized why she was targeting me. But let it be with me like this. Her son doesn't have the talent to get into winter camp, why does she blame me? And even though it was her son who did such a thing to me, why would he bear the consequences and become me? As she spoke these words, Yan Beishi's eyes once again shed blood and tears, causing her to almost collapse in pain. So you choose to retaliate against your homeroom teacher's daughter because of these things. Feng Yanxi played with a golden little thing with her fingers, her expression unchanged. Yan Beishi roared, that's because she's not a good person either. At that time, she had already come to school to teach. For some reason, she found out about me and her brother's situation. I thought she could understand me, but who knew, she blamed me for not managing myself. Seeing that I was about to reveal the truth, he actually threatened me with my graduation certificate. I am the only one left in my family. If I don't get into college and finish my studies, I really have no way out. So I agreed, but on the eve of graduation, I don't know who said it. That day when I went to school, my things were thrown out, and my words were filled with insulting words. Some even accused me of being a slut in person. Then I went to the rooftop in a daze, ending my life. So I hate those people, I hate why they want to ruin me. I would have had a bright and brilliant life. They are all surnamed Zhong and her children. If it weren't for them, I wouldn't have died. Feng Yanxi finally moved, but just gently threw up the golden little thing in her hand, silently reciting something in her mouth. The little golden ball shook a few times and then emitted a light, enveloping Yan Beishi's body. Immediately, the past of Yan Beishi's life appeared in Feng Yanxi's mind. All of this left the ghost on the side stunned. No wonder the ghosts in the underworld say that the heavenly master Feng has the ability. It's only been a while since a new magical tool was developed. Looking back, it seems that he also needs to ask Feng Yanxi for something, and he may need it at some point. After verifying that what Yan Beishi said was true, Feng Yanxi withdrew the little golden ball and looked up at Yan Beishi, saying, "I will help you solve your problem. Some grudges are not necessarily resolved through violence, there are other ways that can make them more uncomfortable than killing them." As she spoke, she looked at the ghost on the side who was still calculating how to use magic tools and lightly flicked, saying, "Tell Yan Jun that she will not arrange reincarnation for the time being. I will explain her cause and effect in the mortal world before proceeding." Glancing at the expression of Gui Cha hesitating to speak, Feng Yanxi rolled her eyes in disdain and threw the golden ball in her hand to the other person, saying, "Here, the underworld seems to lack your things. It always comes from me to get things." Gui Cha caught him and chuckled, "That's Feng Tianchi. You've done a good job of making things, but if it doesn't work, I'll discuss with Yan Jun. It's not impossible to purchase directly from you. Come on, I don't want to take a break and find something else for myself, that's it." She waved her hand and signaled that Gui Cha could take Yan Beishi away. Gui Cha saw that Feng Yanxi didn't mean anything, so he didn't say anything. He turned around and disappeared with Yan Beishi. Feng Yanxi lifted her hand to remove the surrounding shielding, glanced around, and cautiously walked back to the room. In the following 2 days, I don't know if it was because the incident that day caused too much trouble. The girl never came to find Shengjing again, and the supernatural event like yesterday never happened again. But the only shocking thing is that Pei Qinyue, who had not attended school for a long time and was only registered as a student, actually returned to school. Although Feng Mingqi trembled unconsciously and felt a bit scared when mentioning this matter, it was still far away, so it was better not to go. Feng Yanxi also saw Pei Qinyue several times from afar, noticing the familiar magical tool that had appeared on his body. She pretended to be indifferent on the surface, but in reality, she was almost cursing Su Xiaoping to death in her heart. This dog master, why not sell the magic tools she made? What if I'm not afraid of her falling off the horse as an apprentice? Just as he was cursing, news of Su Xiaoping came over here. Lao Su said, "Yanxi, someone has been asking if they sell magic weapons these past few days. I looked at the other person's situation and gave them the self-defense you made before. Don't worry, the price is really high." Following closely behind was a transfer worth 80 yuan. Feng Yanxi couldn't help but laugh and cry. The magic tools she made could sell for hundreds of thousands or even millions, while Lao Su sold them for 100 yuan. However, when we think about the faults of Lao Su and her few little disciples, it is probably because Pei Qinyue is handsome and has once again committed the problem of being promiscuous. Feng Yanxi's expression was so foul that she wanted to hit someone, but there was nothing she could do if she was far away. She was so angry that she could only roll her eyes to express her displeasure. On Saturday morning, Feng Yanxi was woken up by Feng Mingqi in a daze. "Sister, wake up quickly. Today, Mom is taking us two to see Grandma. If it's too late, we won't be able to make it." Feng Yanxi was mesmerized and staring at Feng Mingqi, who pushed her to wash up, put on makeup, and change clothes. After doing all of this, Feng Yanxi was hugged and kissed by Mrs. Feng. The originally confused Banquet suddenly woke up. However, as soon as Feng Mingqi was kissed by Mrs. Feng with a face that she couldn't accept, her heart also became more balanced. Feng Jia, as early as 10 years ago, had already developed into the largest family in Shengjing in recent years due to catching the fast train of the country and developing rapidly. The Ling family, from which Mrs. Feng comes, has also been continuously improving in recent years and has developed to a level almost similar to that of the Feng family. At the entrance of the Ling family, Mrs. Ling and Mr. Ling have been waiting at the door for a long time. "I have already signed the contract, and starting today it will become 2 shifts. Babies who are chasing shifts must pay attention." Another point is that all the things related to metaphysics in this article are fictional and only serve the plot. Please do not be too particular. One more update, please wait a moment, end of this chapter. Chapter 9. There are other reasons. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 9. There are other reasons. Looking at Mrs. Ling's excited expression, the old man somewhat disdainfully squeezed her and said, "You don't have a granddaughter, why are you so excited?" The old lady was too lazy to bother this old man who only knew how to be unreasonable and harassing. She took a few steps back and said, "What do you care about? I didn't ask you, and besides, that's also your granddaughter. You can also go and hug her. Why are you standing here?" The old man was immediately discouraged by the old lady's scolding, awkwardly scratching his head and not speaking again. The old lady was too lazy to pay attention, so she ignored the dead old man's murmur. The two families are not far apart, because Mrs. Feng's health has been difficult to live far in recent years, otherwise she would have moved closer to the two elderly people. As soon as she got off the car, Mrs. Feng pretended to hug her own mother, but her mother passed over her and hugged Feng Yanxi behind her. Being embraced by someone again and receiving 2 red envelopes without hesitation, my mood suddenly turned sunny. Isn't it just a hug? As long as you give money, everything is easy to say. After a few people entered the house, there was a new round of greeting. Feng Yanxi felt a headache, the CPU was almost burning out, and the fear of being dominated by runes had returned. The Ling family has a small population, and Mrs. Feng is the youngest daughter of the family. She has 2 older brothers, each of whom has only 2 children. The 2 aunts also seem to get along very well, and the second aunt even pulled out the 2 children hiding behind and introduced them to the 2 people. "This is my eldest son, you should call him cousin. He's also from your school and has been graduating for 2 years. If you don't understand anything about banquets and banquets, just come find him. He won't do it. Tell me, I'll beat him up." Second aunt grabbed a boy's ear and forcefully pulled him out. Ling Yuan struggled helplessly and greeted Feng Yanxi. To be honest, it was the first time he had seen his cousin. When he was a child, he lost his little cousin before he even remembered it. Later on, parents, including grandparents, kept nagging in their ears that their aunt had a lost sister. To be honest, they all really wanted to see her. When she saw Ling Yuan, Feng Yanxi clearly felt a tremble in her hairpin, as if she was shocked. Feng Yanxi glanced at Ling Yuan with some surprise. Couldn't it be that her cousin met Yan Beishi? Worth her excitement. Yan Beishi did indeed follow the ghost and have already left, but in order to facilitate her observation of some things, she specially took some related items from the other party to facilitate her confirmation of some things. Sure enough, she heard a secret message passing through. Then she spoke up and asked, "Which teacher taught my cousin before?" Although it may be awkward, it is still a way of greeting. Ling Yuan didn't know why his cousin suddenly asked this question, but the other party spoke up and he also answered, "My teacher at that time is now the teaching director, surnamed Zhong. She should be your director Zhong, but she did teach very well. At that time, there was also a female classmate in our class who qualified for the physics competition. Unfortunately, that girl had some issues later on, which is also regrettable. Is it convenient for my cousin to tell me the name of that girl?" "I seem to have heard of this girl from other classmates," replied Feng Yanxi with a smile. Of course, this is in the absence of Feng Mingqi. If she were, her clumsy excuse would be exposed every minute. Ling Yuan carefully recalled for a moment before answering. "It seems like it's called Yan Beishi, Ling Yi. Wasn't Yan Beishi in your class at that time? Do you remember?" He then remembered something and called out his twin sister. Ling Yi clearly didn't expect to hear Yan Beishi's name from her brother's mouth in 2 years. She was stunned and said, "I remember, but why did you mention her?" Then she glanced at Feng Yanxi standing next to Ling Yuan and immediately understood. "Cousin, have you heard about it? I didn't expect someone to talk about it for 2 years. However, Yan Beishi's incident back then did cause a lot of trouble and involved a lot. Although a solution was provided later and the school gave Yan Beishi's foster mother a considerable amount of property, what use could this be?" Let me say that this matter cannot be solved by losing money. I was also afraid that I wouldn't be able to graduate, so I didn't say anything. If it were someone else, I would have already killed the dog surnamed Zhong. Bullying a girl without the courage to take responsibility, grabbing someone else's spot and falsely accusing them of innocence is simply despicable. Ling Yi appeared somewhat indignant, but listening to this, Feng Yanxi's face did change a bit. There is a difference in what Ling Yuan said compared to someone who is not in the same class, but there is no difference in what Yan Beishi said. If it wasn't almost time for dinner, Feng Yanxi would definitely have taken Ling Yi and said something good on the side. After finishing her meal, Ling Yi immediately took Feng Yanxi's hand to her room and cautiously locked the door. With some fear, she asked, Yan, can you also see something? A sentence stunned Feng Yanxi. Cousin, what can you see? Just ghosts. Can you see ghosts? What did you see at school before asking me? Ling Yi appeared very nervous, her lips tightly pursed, and her eyebrows furrowed. This result was unexpected for Feng Yanxi, but it made her curious. Ghosts, I have seen them before, but why is my cousin so nervous? Does what you told me have something to do with being able to see ghosts? That's for sure. I told my cousin you only after seeing it. Yan Beishi didn't commit suicide by jumping off a building due to depression. She was attacked by a black smoke. I watched Yan Beishi go to the rooftop with my own eyes. At that time, there was a black smoke following her. I was afraid of not following her, but when I went downstairs, I saw Yan Beishi jump off the building. I looked up and saw that the black smoke was hovering on the rooftop. I was so foolish. Ling Yi was originally a staunch believer in atheism, but after experiencing this incident, she was completely frightened. Fortunately, her psychological resilience improved and she quickly accepted it. Upon hearing these, the hairpin trembled even more violently, clearly shocked by what Ling Yi had said. At the same time, Yan Beishi, the ghost in the underworld, was lost in great contemplation, completely stunned, not realizing that there were other reasons for her death. Suddenly, someone forcefully lifted it, causing Yan Beishi's entire soul to instantly leave the underworld. At the same time, a low and muffled scream came from Ling Yi's room, and Ling Yi, who saw a living ghost appearing in front of her, was feeling unwell. Seeing the person who spoke the truth, Yan Beishi felt a little excited and wanted to rush forward. Gung, I hope a baby can vote to support me. Collecting is also okay. End of this chapter. Chapter 10. An unbelievable scene. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 10. An unbelievable scene. Feng Yanxi helplessly grabbed the back of her neck and pulled her back, and used a magic spell to calm Ling Yi down. After a while, Ling Yi reluctantly accepted her cousin, who was not only a cultivator, but also a celestial master who could both cultivate immortals and catch ghosts. However, compared to being able to see ghosts, Ling Yi feels that this is still acceptable, but seeing Yan Beishi still makes her a bit scared. What Ling Yi said needs to be verified by you, but if you have relevant memories, it will be better to solve it. Feng Yanxi played a trick and lifted the restriction on Yan Beishi. Yan Beishi pondered for a few seconds, then shook her head in confusion to confirm that she didn't have this memory. I really don't remember, but my previous memory about the period before jumping off the building is not accurate, and I don't know if it has anything to do with the black mist. I told Ling Yi. If it's all true, then it can only be said that the thing that harms you not only has the ability to erase your memory, but also has the ability to open Ling Yi's eyes and tamper with your cause and effect. His abilities should not only be limited to these, but he doesn't seem to be afraid of any mishaps, and what he does is not evasive when saying these things. Feng Yanxi's eyes had already flashed with a long-lost excitement. It's been a long time since I've seen someone so capable. If I could really meet him, she would really want to have a good conversation with this guy. After solving some problems, Yan Beishi returned to the underworld and handed over the words of Feng Yanxi to the previous ghost lord. Of course, Ling Yi's heavenly eye was also closed by Feng Yanxi. In the past 2 years, the heavenly eye has had a significant impact on Ling Yi, and if closed, the benefits will only be significant. However, after this afternoon's exchange, Ling Yi was particularly fond of her little cousin, who had never met before but was like a friend at first sight, and invited sisters Feng Yanxi to go shopping together tomorrow. Feng Mingqi didn't know what had happened, which made her cousin's liking for her sister skyrocket, but she didn't think there was anything. After all, her sister is so good-looking and has such a good personality. How could anyone not like her? The next morning, Feng Mingqi woke up her dear sister again, and Feng Yanxi's expression was clearly foul-smelling. Ling Yi's shopping mall is a newly opened commercial street, and although it is new, many people go there. When they arrived, Ling Yi led the two of them straight to the newly opened luxury goods store downstairs. This is the only FY offline store in Shengjing. Although their family also cooperates with them, my mother always refuses to leave me a copy. Fortunately, I found out, otherwise I don't know when I will be able to use it. Speaking of this luxury goods store, Ling Yi couldn't stop talking. Looking at the sign at the entrance of the store, Feng Yanxi finally regained consciousness, blinked her eyes, and poked Feng Mingqi beside her, saying, "Mingming, I remember giving you a few cards before, you flipped them over." No wonder she can't remember, it turned out to be this guy's thing. Since it's this guy's thing, where can my sister spend money? Upon hearing Feng Yanxi's words, Feng Mingqi was momentarily reminded and quickly grabbed her own wallet. As expected, among the cards, Feng Mingqi saw the card with the most exquisite craftsmanship at a glance. Take it out and take a look, there are 2 huge letters FY painted on it, with dragons flying and phoenixes dancing. The salespeople around were paying attention to the commotion on their side, and when they saw Feng Mingqi looking at the card in her hand with an extremely familiar craftsmanship pattern in disbelief, she quickly walked over. "Hello miss, may I ask if you are Miss Feng Yanxi?" The salesperson looked at Feng Mingqi with bright eyes, as if seeing something unbelievable. Feng Mingqi shook her head and pointed to Feng Yanxi standing next to her, trying to reduce her presence. "I'm not, this is what my sister gave me." "My sister's name is Feng Yanxi," he said. The salesperson saw the situation and immediately respectfully signaled for the 3 people to come in. "Sorry, respected ladies, this way, please." Ling Yi and others were both stunned, and it was obvious that neither of them had anticipated that Feng Yanxi was the one who had hidden the deepest among them. And now, Feng Yanxi just wants to quickly find a crack in the ground and crawl in, feeling extremely embarrassed. Undoubtedly, the wicked thing is wicked everywhere. I didn't expect her to give away her card. This guy even tried to make the salesperson remember his name, which is such a wicked move. It's despicable. However, everything had happened and the embarrassment had already been caused. Feng Yanxi could only shamelessly explain, "A friend gave it to me before, and I didn't know." The other 2 people didn't pay much attention to such a hasty explanation, and their eyes were now all focused on the beautiful clothes and jewelry in the room. The salesperson explained with a smile, "These are all orders from the founder of our brand. Only Miss Feng Yanxi in the world has such a card, and only Miss Feng Yanxi can freely choose all the clothing and jewelry in this VIP room." Upon hearing the words, brand founder, Ling Yi was immediately excited. Her eyes lit up as she looked at Feng Yanxi and said, "Yan Yan knows the founder of FY's brand. You haven't even mentioned this." Feng Yanxi's smile is quite stiff now. Of course, she can't say anything, otherwise how should she explain? How did she get to know someone? Some people may think too much about it, but she doesn't want to do something useless for no reason. Feng Yanxi nodded in agreement with Ling Yi's words. "I helped him a favor before, and I don't know when he founded the brand. It's just that the things were sent over, and I haven't seen them either. I thought it wouldn't be useful, so I gave them all to Mingming." Feng Yanxi's words were spoken lightly, but as the only one who knew what Feng Yanxi would order, Ling Yi already understood. From yesterday's incident, she could feel that her cousin's abilities were far beyond what she could see. The help she offered was probably not a small favor, at least the kind that saved someone else's life. With Feng Yanxi sitting down, the two luxury goods enthusiasts picked each other up all morning until they felt a bit hungry and looked in the direction of Feng Yanxi, only to find out that the latter had been sleeping on the sofa for a while. Until the meal, Feng Mingqi had not yet reacted to the huge news that her sister was a ghost hunter. After waiting for a while, she spoke cautiously, "Is there really a ghost in this world?" Feng Mingqi, a typical atheist, also began to waver at this moment. She didn't know if there would be ghosts around her if this was true. Seeing Feng Mingqi's concerns, Feng Yanxi reached out and pinched a trick, gesturing for her to close her eyes and open them again to try. The original intention of Feng Yanxi was actually to tell her timid sister that ghosts rarely exist around people, especially in crowded situations nowadays. But when Feng Mingqi opened her eyes, she let out a low exclamation of surprise. "I don't know which cute 6 monthly pass, the author has thanked me first here." End of this chapter.